Just got done eating breakfast. Now it's time to head on my way back up the mountain and start doing some trail repairs. Usually I record myself on the way down to breakfast. Today, I'll do it a little different. Get my angle adjusted. See how that goes. It's a much slower ride because from the center of Bennington up to Woodford, it's just a steady grade. Not a steep grade, but enough to grind you and make you feel slower as you get farther up the road. It takes me 15 minutes to come down. It takes me a half hour, sometimes 40 minutes to get back. I already know that my battery will run out before I get back, depending on the setting I have on the camera, which I do not remember, but I think it might be set at 4K. If that's the case, then it'll be running out, which I'm good with. It's right around 33 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's kind of brisk out. Still frosty in the shade. One advantage of climbing on a cold day is to generate heat. Thank you. Didn't even get a mile, already slowing down. I was watching Global Cycling Network, GCN, and the video topic was, will aluminum bikes make a comeback? They never really went away. A little bit, quite a bit in the high-end world. There we go. To get back to the topic, they never went away. The low end and mid-tier bikes have been doing aluminum for a while, and you could still get a very affordable bike in aluminum with good components, which is good, because if you want high-end parts and you go carbon, you know, pricing is out of hand nowadays. You want to get a top tier mountain bike or road bike, bikes are really expensive. But you go down to aluminum, and we'll say a higher end group, somewhere mid-tier, a little up, not the highest end, you can save a lot of money and still get a capable rig. So do I think aluminum bikes are going to be the bicycle industry's savior? No. But I do think it will help with the pricing if your bigger companies like Specialized Trek, so on, started speccing their high-end parts on aluminum bikes. So instead of spending a few grand because of the carbon parts and stuff, you could bring the price down probably by a third, going back to aluminum. And nowadays, with hydroform tubing, that's how they shape the aluminum. A lot of your modern higher-end aluminums now look like carbon fiber bikes in the way that they're shaped. And weight-wise, they're very similar. I would think that the carbon frames would probably still have a weight advantage as far as being lighter, but I bet you it's not as big as you think. Quarter pound maybe? I'd have to look that up. I remember when I got my first carbon road bike, and I've been running steels and titaniums, and it wasn't a big huge jump back then, but now I know they got sub 2 pound frames with forks for that matter. I do think companies, your big companies, your anchor brands like your Specialized Trek, anchor brands as in for every bike shop they'll usually carry a few brands, but they usually have one brand that they're known for. Like a lot of Specialized dealers have just Specialized and then a smattering of other stuff. Trek, Giant, the big brands. Yeah, I think they could potentially sell more units more bikes if they just leave the carbon towards the high end and then use aluminum for the rest. A lot of companies kind of already do that, but you're seeing carbon bikes come down the tiers into lower rank componentry, but because they're carbon, they're still kind of overpriced. A lot of companies will send bikes out for reviews to the bigger YouTube channels, and I think it would do more to promote cycling if those companies would stop sending the highest end bikes out there, because you know the vast majority of cyclists just can't afford those bikes. There are great YouTube channels that cater towards the mid-tier. I know GCN and GMBN, Global Mountain Biking Network, Global Cycling Network, they tend to cater more towards the high end, which is great because you learn a lot. Fun to watch. But nobody can afford a lot of the bikes they show off. But there's YouTube channels like Matty Active, Wolf Tick Videos, or Wolf Tick Nation, I think it technically is. Burn Peak, great one. Used to be Seth's Bike Hacks, and these channels are great because they do mid-tier, beginner level, more affordable type bikes. Yeah, those channels still venture off into the high end, but it's not their bread and butter. And I feel those channels do more for promoting cycling as a healthy thing to do, better than the high-end channels do. The high-end channels will talk about, you know, promoting cycling, and then they'll show you a $10,000 bike. Now GCN, they do on occasion do budget builds, and they definitely tinker in the more affordable range, but that's not their bread and butter. The higher end stuff and racier stuff is, and I watch it and I love it. But people like Matty Active and Burn Peak, Wolf Tick Nation is awesome because he likes to review a lot of the inexpensive stuff that you see on Amazon that looks cool, you're just not sure about it, and yeah, he takes it. He's a real rider, and he puts it through their paces. He tells you what's good, what's not good, and I find him, or them technically, it's a younger guy and an older man, and they beat the stuff out of cheap components and see what's worth keeping and what's worth tossing. And I think that's great because a lot of people want to get into cycling, but to get anything decent enough, they just can't afford. And channels like that do a good job at saying, hey, you don't have to go ahead and buy the highest end of this and highest end of that. You can get this stuff and get your ass into the woods or trails or roads. So yeah, I tend to subscribe to channels that are more well-rounded and cater more to my price levels. There you go. But yeah, if you think different, and not to mention I'm pedaling on an uphill and ranting and babbling, so feel free to pick out my inconsistencies and post them up and let me know what you think. I know when it comes to city bikes, like commuter bikes, bikes you'd go shopping with, that market can still be very affordable, which is great. You know, when you're talking mountain bike and road bikes, you know, then the prices truly get out of hand. So it all truly comes down to what you're looking for in a bike. I do know this much: if you're semi-mechanically inclined, you can save a lot of money by going with second-tier bikes. You know, not the big brands you get at the bike shops. Brands like, well, it depends on the style of riding you want to do, but State Bicycles, they have very affordable bikes. They don't use Shimano or SRAM components, but they're full bicycles that shift decent, get decent reviews, and because they're not one of your big bike shop brands, you save a lot of money. For city-oriented stuff, Priority Bikes is great, and fairly affordable belt drive bikes for Priority. Now, they do get pricey once you opt for their belt drive internal geared mountain bikes with suspension forks. Yeah, they're as expensive as everybody else. But if you're looking for a basic city bike, low to no maintenance, Priority is great for that. But yeah, if you are mechanically inclined, a lot of the online specific brands you could save quite a bit of money on. If you're someone who's not mechanically inclined or just doesn't want to deal with it, you know, then spend the money, go to the bike shop. Don't argue about prices, because if something goes wrong, the bike shop will take care of it for you. And a lot of the times, the shop I worked at for a full year, we wouldn't charge any labor for any maintenance. A lot of shops offer stuff like that, or some sort of service program. So yeah, if you're not mechanically inclined, sometimes it's worth paying a little more just for the service end of things. But I'll go back to, if you are mechanically inclined and looking to save money, secondary brands. And now the big one, where you can get your best deals by far, is the used bike market. A lot of times people buy bikes, they don't ride them, they're weekend warriors, they don't have a lot of miles. And if you know what to look for, you know, when you're looking at a drivetrain to see if it's worn or not, yeah, you could save like half the price of a bike, sometimes even more, because people just want to get rid of stuff. And if you're not mechanically inclined, a lot of bike shops sell used, and you can save money there too. Probably would be a little more expensive than if you did it on your own, but you just got to be smart buying used. I've seen people get hosed because they don't know what to look for, and then they get it, and all the bearings are shot, all the drivetrain is shot, and then you didn't save any money. So you got to be smart and know what to look for. And trust me, a couple Google searches on how to tell if a drivetrain is worn out before you go look at a used bike will be a big help. But yeah, if you want to get into higher end, more performance oriented bikes, don't discount the used market. Just get an education before you do, or bring somebody who's really good with bikes and mechanically inclined with you. Being that I've been a bike mechanic for over 30 years now, I'm somebody who likes to build my bikes up with what I like. But through the years, I have found a bunch of budget brands that make affordable parts that I feel safe with, and I just build up my own bikes. I enjoy that. And I'm also fortunate to where I get a lot of second-hand parts that I take off of customers' bikes that they give them to me afterwards because they don't want them, that are still in fair shape. And yeah, that has helped me a lot through the years of building affordable bikes. Bike mechanics, especially in New England, Northeast USA, don't actually make a whole lot of money because of winters. And so most of the bike mechanics I know that have the highest end stuff, it's either coming from the shop, or they pieced it together over time, or even pro deals, and it takes them a while to pay it off through the shop. And you know, there are pro deals. There are ways bike mechanics do get expensive bikes, but for the most part, they're not just buying them straight up. Not unless they got a significant other who's got money. And but most of the bike mechanics I know, which is quite a few of them, tend to have bikes with older components, and kind of like what I was saying, they build them up on their own. And I have fun doing that. You can tell by the bike I'm riding right now, this old Trek. I love it. This is my Trek 1x8. Doesn't have SRAM, doesn't have Shimano, has box components. They're not well known, but shift amazing and smooth. And I just bought another drivetrain kit from them because they're so cheap, just to have in stock for a future build, because at some point they're not going to be selling them this cheap. So I just wanted to make sure to have one on hand. So yeah, it's that's another way bike companies could get bikes down more affordable. It's to spec off-brand stuff. Now that's a tough slope, because the average Joe doesn't know about brands like Microshift, Box, Sunrace, Suntour. They all make drivetrains more affordable, but it's a tougher sell as somebody that's worked in a bike shop and have had to sell off brands, even when it's really good. But that could be remedied by, well, it takes a lot of money for the company, by sending bikes out to these websites so they can review them. And this way it gets the name out and people know the name. The guitar world is really good at doing that. I watch a lot of guitar videos, and guitar companies have loaners that they send out to YouTube channels to review. I'm sure the bike industry does it to a certain extent, but when it comes to off-brand stuff that still works good to where they can bring their price points down. They just don't do it. But I think it would be a help. I've been a bike mechanic for so long that I've seen surges of popularity of different types of things. I've seen booms, I've seen lulls, and right now there's a lull in the cycling market where people are worried that the cycling industry is failing. It's not. They go through a transition period every decade and a half or so, and that's what's happening now. Inflation hasn't helped it any, but it'll never go away. When one company drops off, another one comes up and picks up, and I think that's what's happening here. A lot of people blame the overpriced bikes, and yes, they are overpriced, but like I've stated earlier in the video, there's other options. People just don't know about them. There's more affordable options. They're just not being advertised, so people aren't up on them, and everybody gets all their information from the internet and YouTube videos. So those channels are the ones that are driving a lot of the sales, so companies can start taking advantage of that. We'll see what happens. I'm starting to get really slow. The grade has picked up, but I'm only a mile away from my car, and I don't think my camera shut off. You agree, disagree, have ideas, just want to spout out stuff on my channel, have at it. Feel free to comment. I love all comments, and I try to answer. As my channels grow, I get more comments. It's not out of hand, not yet anyways, and I try to comment on the questions, so feel free to comment. Subscribe if you like, don't subscribe. I'm just happy to be doing this. I enjoy doing the YouTube content, and winter's coming up and I'll be putting less content. Happens every winter. All right, I'm in the home stretch, about a mile away. I will see you in the next video.